Now let's get to the highlights from today's campaigns. We start with the Prime Minister himself, Narendra Modi. In Uttar Pradesh, he chose to speak about India's growing stature abroad. On Thursday, the Prime Minister was given the UAE's highest civilian honour, the Zayed Medal. He dedicated the award to the people of India.
आज आपके सामने शीश झुकाते हुए मुझे इस बात का भी गर्व है कि इन 5 सालों में मैंने देश का सिर झुकने नहीं दिया। पूरी दुनिया में देश की साख आज जितनी ऊंची है उतनी कभी पहले नहीं रही।
Do domestic votes increase with increasing international stature? We'll find out next month, as will Mr. Modi. He was quick to switch to local issues. The Prime Minister targeted the SP-BSP alliance, accusing them of being soft on terror. He has upped the ante against the opposition leaders, especially those who demanded proof after the Balakot strikes.
आतंकियों को उन्हीं की भाषा में जवाब देना हमारे देश में ही कुछ लोगों को परेशान करता है। उनकी रात की नींद उड़ जाती है। जब भारत डंके की चोट पर दुश्मन को मारता है, तब कुछ लोगों को हिंदुस्तान में रोना आता है। जब पाकिस्तान पूरी दुनिया के सामने बेनकाब हो रहा है, तो ये पाकिस्तान के पक्ष की बातें कर रहे हैं।
In Saharanpur, the Prime Minister trained his guns on the Congress party. He had a special reason for that. The Congress has fielded Imran Masood from Saharanpur. In 2014, a video of Mr. Masood went viral where he had threatened to chop Mr. Modi into pieces. These remarks had even led to his arrest, and today the Prime Minister revisited that episode. He launched a sharp attack against Imran Masood and his party president Rahul Gandhi.
यहाँ तो बोटी बोटी करने वाले साहब भी हैं और कांग्रेस के शहजादा के बड़े चहेते हैं। उन पर उनका जरा बड़ा ज्यादा ही प्यार आता है। याद रखिएगा, वो बोटी बोटी की धमकी देने वाले लोग हैं और हम बेटी बेटी को सुरक्षा और सम्मान देने वाले लोग।
Several kilometers away from Uttar Pradesh, Rahul Gandhi seemed unperturbed. He was in Maharashtra interacting with students in Pune. Rahul Gandhi was asked about Narendra Modi. The Congress president said he loves Narendra Modi.
I love Mr. Narendra Modi. No, I do. I genuinely have no hatred towards the man at all.
Viral ho gaya.
I have no anger.
Simmer down, he's saying something, yes.
I have no anger. But I have no anger towards or hatred towards Mr. Narendra Modi. He has anger towards me. It's fine, no problem. I have no anger towards the man.
So first the hug in Parliament and now this. Rahul Gandhi's one-sided love for the Prime Minister was cheered on by many students, as you heard. But not everyone was impressed. Some heckled the Congress president. To his credit, Rahul Gandhi took it in his stride. Then demonetization came up and Mr. Gandhi changed his tune. No more professing love for the Prime Minister. He was critical and categorical. Only his minimum income scheme, he said, would jumpstart economic activity in India.
Fortunately, Notebandi or demonetization was a disastrous idea. Taking 500 rupees and 1,000 rupees and just removing them from the economy. You can ask any economist you want, that's a disaster. And it had a terrible effect on the economy. 2% of GDP was lost. Millions of jobs were lost, and the economy jammed shut. Once we do the Nyay scheme and we pump money into the economy will start, production will start, and you will see that jobs will start up again. But the sad part is that demonetization, frankly, nothing can be done. It's like a injury that we have sustained and we are going to have to carry with us.
It happens before every election. Skeletons have this habit of tumbling out. Ask the Congress party. It may be dealing with one of its worst, the Augusta Westland scam. The one involving VVIP choppers, kickbacks, dubious money trails, and a certain political family with an Italian lady. It's all on record. Here's the latest. A charge sheet has mysteriously surfaced. It has damaging details about the investigation. Needless to say, it has triggered a storm. The facts first. The Enforcement Directorate is investigating this case. It has told a special court in Delhi that defense officials, bureaucrats, media persons and quote-unquote important political persons of the ruling party received kickbacks. Meaning, these were the people involved in corruption. Which was the ruling party? The UPA, led by the Congress party. The deal was done by the UPA government. The case is a bit of a political potboiler now, and the protagonist is this man, Christian Michel. He was the middleman, the broker of the deal. He is said to have identified top members of the Congress party to push this deal through. Last year, India finally got hold of him. India managed to secure the deportation of Christian Michel. He is now one of the main accused in this case. He used to send dispatches to his bosses in 2008 and 2009. The investigators have got their hands on those dispatches, which have some big names in them, names of Congress leaders whom Christian Michel was in touch with. Now let's tell you what the charge sheet says. It claims that one Mrs. Gandhi was the driving force behind the deal. It mentions about a meeting with a quote-unquote an Italian lady's son. The investigators also say that Michel identified the initials AP as Congress leader Ahmed Patel. He said FAM in his notes, which stand for family. You can join the dots. It's not hard to guess who are the people he's talking about. And here's a twist in the plot. The lawyers of Christian Michel told the court today that they were not given this copy of the charge sheet. They say that Christian Michel has not named any member of the Congress party during any interrogation with the investigators. So where did this charge sheet come from? No one's answering this, least of all the BJP. They have got fresh ammunition in election season, and firing from the front is the Prime Minister himself.
हेलीकॉप्टर घोटाले के दलालों ने जिन लोगों को घूस देने की बात कही है, उनमें से एक एपी है, एपी, और दूसरा एफएम है, फेम। इसी चार्जशीट में कहा गया है कि एपी का मतलब है अहमद पटेल और एफएम का मतलब है फैमिली। अब आप मुझे बताइए, आप तो अहमद पटेल का नाम सुना है ना, जानते हो ना, यहां जो पहले मुख्यमंत्री थे उनके खासम खास है।
So here's the question. How damaging is this case for the Congress? How much will it help the BJP? Do scams like Augusta Westland have any impact on elections? The government seems to be counting on it. Finance Minister Arun Jaitley says the Congress is hiding something. The past shows that corruption can be an emotive poll issue. Why go far? Look at 2014. Corruption, scams, black money, these were the terms that ruled the discourse. The Congress government was tainted by several scams. There was widespread anger against the UPA. It fueled the BJP's campaign. It gave birth to new players like the Anna Hazare campaign. And the Kejriwal-led Aam Aadmi Party, they in fact used corruption as their political springboard. The anger against the Congress led to the rise of Arvind Kejriwal in Delhi. After the agitation for a Lokpal at the Ramlila grounds, the Aam Aadmi Party won power twice in the national capital. Their claim to political fame was the promise to end corruption at all levels, including electoral finance and street-level bureaucracy. The BJP rode on the wave of anti-corruption sentiment. Modi's most famous slogan, "Na khaunga, na khane dunga," still resonates among the voters. He also promised to bring back black money stashed in tax havens abroad. The messaging against corruption is still central to Mr. Modi's campaign. He still uses old scams to target the Gandhi family. History shows us that the issue of corruption can make or break political fortunes. Take the case of the Bofors deal. Allegations of corruption hit the Rajiv Gandhi-led government so hard that they lost more than 200 seats in the 1989 election. Back then, it was the Janata Dal that gained. What emboldens the Prime Minister further is the clean record of his government. No minister from the BJP government has been charged with corruption in the last 5 years. The opposition has tried to whip up the Rafale deal, but they haven't been able to show a scam. So is corruption still an issue in this election? Yes, it is. Will the Congress be able to shake off the baggage of corruption? Most likely not. In Did You Know Today, the quintessential election story, party symbols, and what an interesting story it is. The cow is synonymous with the BJP's politics today, but at one point, it was a Congress party symbol. The farmer is the Congress's chosen vote bank. In the past, it was a BJP symbol. The story of party symbols in India is a fascinating one. Let's do a quick Q&A first. How does the Election Commission select symbols? They have a list of 100-odd symbols which are free. While filing the nomination papers, a candidate can apply for 3. The Commission allots him 1. In case of a recognized party, the EC allows it to reserve a symbol, like the hand for the Congress and the lotus for the BJP. Question number 2, who selects the symbols? Political parties or the Election Commission? Can parties propose their own? Yes, they can. In most cases, parties offer their own symbols, which the Commission may or may not accept. Question number 3, what happens when a political party splits and different leaders take claim to a symbol? They all make a pitch. The Commission decides. Sometimes it even freezes a symbol. Let me give you examples. Like in 1999, when the Janata Dal split, the rival factions demanded the wheel symbol, but the Commission froze that symbol. It allotted 2 new ones. One was a farmer driving a tractor. That's what one faction got. The second was an arrow. More recently, when the Samajwadi Party was divided, the Election Commission allotted bicycle to the Akhilesh Yadav faction. When the AIADMK split after Jayalalitha's death in Tamil Nadu, the Commission froze the 2 leaves symbol. But what about animals? Are they allotted as electoral symbols in India? Not anymore. Animal rights activists complain that parties are parading animals during campaigns and subjecting them to cruelty. Another question, can 2 or more parties have the same symbol? Yes, if they're not fighting in the same state or union territory. Let me give you examples again. In Tamil Nadu, the DMK, and in Manipur, the Federal Party of Manipur have the same symbol, the rising sun. The BSP in Uttar Pradesh and the AGP in Assam have the same symbol, elephant. Now, if any of these parties wants to contest in the state of the other, it will have to change the symbol. If Mayawati, for instance, wants to contest from Assam, she will have to drop the elephant. What happens when 2 parties have similar symbols? Confusion. Like in this election, there's a dispute in Andhra Pradesh. 2 candidates have similar names and similar looking symbols. One has a ceiling fan, the other has a helicopter. The voter may be confused. In nearby Telangana, where 179 farmers are contesting as independents in Nizamabad, the symbols make an interesting study. Ginger and chilies, mobile phone chargers, computer mouse, frock, dish antenna, gas cylinders, pliers, doorbells, you name it, they have it on the electoral rolls. Symbols have often been bitterly contested. When the first election was due in 1952, political parties fought hard. They wanted the plough symbol. The Congress, the Socialists, the Communists, everyone laid claim. The EC was in a fix. It gave the plough symbol to no party. The Congress got 2 bulls with a yoke. The Socialists got a tree. The Marxists got a standing lion. The Hindu Mahasabha had a horse and a rider. And the biggest parties, the Congress and the BJP, have changed their symbol thrice in the last 70 years. The Congress first had 2 bulls with a yoke, then a cow and a calf. And now the Congress party has a hand as the party symbol. Let's turn to the BJP. Then called the Janasangh, it started with a lamp. Then they had a farmer. And now, we all know the BJP symbol is the lotus. In Tamil Nadu, commentators have often said that the ideal symbol for their parties would be a gift package. In this election, that applies to many more. Outside Tamil Nadu, they're all